Alright guys, let's talk about survival kits today. Should you or should you not take one with you? Do you spend any time in the woods? Do you camp? Do you hike? If you do, you probably need one with you. Now, I'm going to go through my personal survival kit. I'm going to show you what's in it. I'm going to tell you why I have it in it. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I also have a secret item that for me personally, I think it's going to make a huge difference in my well-being in a survival situation. It may not be specific to you, but for me, I think it'll make all the difference in the world. Now, a lot of people have devised survival kits through the years. Maybe you have, and it never went with you. Maybe it went with you once on a hike or a camping trip, and after that it stayed at home. It probably stayed back because it was bulky. It just took up too much space. You know, I want one that's going to fit into, say, a cargo pocket of my pants, or it doesn't take much room in the backpack whatsoever. But I would rather have an item with me and not need it, rather than be in a survival situation and need it, but I don't have it with me. Now also, what you pack into a survival kit is going to be according to the season of the year that you're in and where you live at. Say if you live in the mountains of West Virginia, you'll need to pack a little bit different than, say, if you lived in the deserts of Arizona somewhere. So be mindful of where you live at. Don't just go by what I have here and copy what I have, because you may need to adjust it. And medications. If you're on any medications, you're going to want to have some with you. You'll notice on the list that I'm going to show you in a minute, I also have a meds packaged date. So that way I can see when I package these medications and when I need to replace them. So anyway, let's get right into it. Let me show you what I have. First, if you notice, this is a waterproof box from Walmart. It's like $7, so it's really worth it. And it really is waterproof. I've actually put some papers in it and submerged it underwater for an hour. Took it out, everything was perfectly fine. So, I have a list here that I normally keep inside the box. That way, if I use something and I need to replace it, I can, which I have one item I need to replace right now. And I know that it's missing because I have a list here. So let's go through it and see what I have. Now I'm going to try to go by my list here, so I'm going to move a few things around. Of course, everybody needs a knife. You're going to need a knife in the wilderness. I started to go with a razor knife, like the box cutter type. But, I mean, it takes up less space in your survival kit, but with a regular knife too, you could also tie this on the end of a stick and use it as a spear, as a stabbing device. Hopefully you won't encounter coyote or wolves or anything like that. You never know, but probably you could use this to gig for frogs, even fish, or any other animal that's running, jumping, and crawling. And another thing I want to bring out about survival, in a survival situation, you know, we've all seen videos of how to set up a snare and how to hunt for squirrels and rabbits out in the wild. But I'm going to tell you this. First of all, if you're going to be out for 2 or 3 days, hopefully that's all, you won't really need to focus on food that much. Your main things that you will be focusing on is water, shelter, fire, and safety. Those are your main items. Water being the most important, especially if it's summertime. Alright, I have a length of paracord here, which paracord is okay. I don't really like rope that well, but I do take some. It's pliable. But if you have to cut it to use for smaller sections, you know, it frays up and then it's almost worthless. It just comes apart, so I don't really like it. You notice I have some craft wire on here. I do use wire, and I do have some wire packed in here also. This is actually 4 or 5 feet, and I'm going to put more in here. I prefer wire over cord, over ropes, because it's smaller, it takes up less space, and you can actually take wire, of course, and just bend it back and forth and break it and use it in the sections that you need. is it any good? Is it strong? Alright guys, if you wondered if this craft wire has any strength or durability in the wild whatsoever, I'm going to take care of that right now. This is a 10-pound dumbbell, and I have the wire tied around it. It's actually not even tied that tight. And let's see what happens. See? So it has plenty of strength to hold up tree limbs and anything you might need to do in the wild. I'm sure it will hold at least 15 pounds. Alright, you saw that the wire can hold up a 10-pound dumbbell, which means it can hold up pretty much anything you'll need in the wilderness. It's not going to hold you up, of course, but making shelters and things like that, it will hold you up. Of course, a lighter. Of course, a cigarette lighter. Make sure it's full when you put it in there. And if it does go empty, well, I've got another video. I can show you how to start a fire with an empty lighter as well. You don't need the fuel. Of course, it helps to have fuel, but you don't necessarily need it. I have a piece of aluminum foil at the bottom. It's probably 16 inches by 16 inches square, and of course you can use foil for a lot of things. If you have to cook something, you can do that. You can actually boil water in foil, not directly over the fire, but you can heat rocks up, small rocks in the fire, and by dropping them in the foil when they're very, very hot, you can slowly boil water that way. I also have some steri strips in here for those of you not in the medical profession. These are similar to band-aids, but if you get a cut, you can take steri strips and close the wound up fairly well with it. I also have band-aids. I really don't like band-aids that much, but if you have a blister on your foot while you're trying to get through the woods, they are painful and they're going to slow you down. And if you're out there for a few days, you could get an infection like that also. So yeah, I do keep a few band-aids with me. Let's see what else I have. I have a water filter. This is a specialty item. This will filter water down to several microns. Well, it doesn't filter the water, it filters microorganisms and any sediment that you don't want. But this is way better than most commercial brands. I also have a 1-gallon Ziploc bag. Of course, this can serve a variety of needs, especially water. Make sure you've got a good quality Ziploc and not just any of them, because I mean you can tote water with this all day long if you have to. You can store any food in it. Just trust me, it can come in handy. Another thing for the wire, if you have torn clothing, you can puncture your clothes with the wire and sew them back up to a degree with it. Fish hook, I've got to replace that. I took that out a few minutes ago when I was doing it, before I'd done the video, and realized I didn't put it back in. I don't really believe in using fish hooks in a survival situation because it's hard enough to go to a lake or a pond and catch a fish, much less being out there in the wilderness trying to survive and you're going to catch a fish. But the reason I did include one is because it doesn't take up any space at all. It takes up very, very, very little space. So, I mean, you may as well put it in. You can put it on the end of the wire, throw your worm on the end, and hey, maybe you'll catch something, who knows. If you don't, well, didn't take up any space or weight. Now, I also have cotton balls and some dryer lint, of course, to get a fire started really quick. You notice the mottled areas, what that is, and I could have done more. I should have done more. That's wax on the inside of the lint and the cotton balls. The cotton ball and the dryer lint will catch fire very, very, very easily, and by having candle wax dripped into it will give you a several minute burn time. I took a regular cotton ball a few nights ago, dripped wax in it, and it burned for over 3 minutes. So it gives you a little time to get a fire started. Moving on to my medicines. Now I am missing one item right now. I've got ibuprofen. Ibuprofen is anti-inflammatory, so if you do have a sprained ankle or anything of that nature, just general soreness, you can take it. If you have a fever, of course you can use ibuprofen. That's why I don't have Tylenol in here. Of course, Tylenol would be good also. It doesn't take up any space, but for me, ibuprofen serves both purposes. Imodium. That may sound stupid to have Imodium, but in a survival situation, you may be drinking water that you don't need, water that you don't want. You shouldn't be drinking it, and you could end up with dysentery. Have dysentery in the wilderness, and you're going to dehydrate quickly, and you could die. You could die in a hurry by having dysentery. In other words, loose stools, diarrhea. So I think Imodium is a very, very important item to have in your survival kit. So try having an upset stomach in the summertime, in the desert. You're going to die in a hurry. I also have some potassium tablets in here that you can buy over the counter at Walmart. Of course, that's pretty self-explanatory also. And the one item I need to replace is Benadryl. Now, I believe in packing Benadryl for anaphylactic shock. You know, a lot of people will go into anaphylaxis or anaphylactic shock if they get bit by bees, hornets, anything. You could eat something wrong in the wilderness and go into anaphylactic shock. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it already or not, but when you are in a survival situation, you can forget about, for the most part, you can forget about catching a rabbit in a snare or clubbing a squirrel in the head. The foods, if you need food, if you have to have it, the things you want will be hopping or crawling. Those are the foods you want to focus on. You know, lizards, snakes, frogs, worms. Yeah, it sounds bad, but that's what you're going to have to do in a survival situation. Now for my secret item. This is going to seem so stupid to you, but trust me, to me, it's going to make a huge, huge difference. It'll make a huge impact on my well-being in a survival situation. The one item that will make a difference. Coffee. Now, of course, I've got to have my sweetener. Why do I have coffee? Glad you asked. If I'm in a survival situation, say I'm injured, I'm hurt, I'm stumbling around, I don't know where I'm at, I'm lost. You know what? I love my daily coffee. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to use that aluminum foil or that bag, I'm going to put some water in it, I'm going to put my instant coffee in it and my sweetener. And I'm going to sit down, I'm going to drink it. And you know what? For a few minutes, I'm in control. I'm the master. That mental state of mind could make all the difference in the world. That could make a difference between life and death. If I'm out there and all of a sudden I realize, you know what, I'm lost, I'm hurt, don't know where I'm at, don't know when I'm going to get out of these woods, but you know what, I'm in control right now because I've got this coffee. Then I've got a leg up on things. I've got a chance. Plus, of course, that little bit of caffeine is also going to kick in. It's going to help me out to a degree. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you all enjoyed it. I hope it helps, and I hope you never need your survival kit. I hope you never need the items in it. But get one together, pack it for the season that you're in, pack it for where you live at, and hey, keep it with you at all times.